Hey guys, John Velasco here with VR Source. So we know that virtual reality is here to stay. It's not a short-lived fad. The HTC Vive, the Oculus Rift, and subsequently the PlayStation VR are pretty much showing people, the consumers out there, that virtual reality is here to stay and it's for real. As for myself, I've been using both the Oculus Rift and the HTC Vive for the last couple months. And while I enjoy the VR experiences they offer, there's something peculiar about the designs of the headsets that kind of irritates me every now and then, or I find not really well thought out or planned. So with that in mind, here are 5 annoying design quirks of current VR headsets. The first one pretty much affects everyone that uses a VR headset. You don't necessarily have to own one yourself. You could probably be using it at a friend's house or even demoing at a store, but the way that VR headsets are designed, they kind of mess up your hairstyle no matter what kind of hairstyle you have. Basically, the way they're designed right now, you have the straps that help keep the VR headsets on your face, over your eyes, but the side ones aren't that bad. It's the one that goes over your head that really gets you, because if you have a hairstyle of some kind, it pretty much gets smushed, so you could forget about it. My second point probably pertains more to the HTC Vive because you have that whole room experience. You got to move around, whereas with the Rift, you're still kind of stationary for the most part. You're just sitting down. But either way, most VR headsets, the cables just get in the way. They're pretty long, they're pretty thick, they're stiff too. And with the HTC Vive, when you're moving around very quickly, it does flap around, and sometimes you can get tangled up and even trip over it. Now, if you're like me who uses VR day in, day out, you'll probably recognize that the displays in the headsets themselves tend to get very foggy after some time. Now, this is due to just the amount of condensation, I guess, built up in the poor ventilation within the headsets themselves. They're not really designed to allow perfect airflow going in and out of the headset. So what happens over time when you're breathing through your nose, it tends to fog up the display. So you'll probably want to start breathing through your mouth most of the time. Okay, for me, nothing really ruins a VR demo other than when you put on the headset and you find out that the padded cushioning is really wet, almost feels like a sponge is on your face because the person before you who was trying out the demo was sweating profusely throughout the experience. And that's a bummer. No one wants to feel a slimy thing over their face. And it's not a problem if you own a VR headset at home and you're going to be using it by yourself. But when you have friends over, or even at a store or at a trade show when you're trying this VR demo, nothing's worse than having that feeling. And lastly, I find it kind of weird that these VR headsets don't have dedicated power buttons on the headsets themselves. You have to remove the USB cable or the power source from the link box for the HTC Vive. The Rift, of course, the USB cable and HDMI connections you gotta unplug. But it would have been a lot easier if they just had a dedicated power button on the headsets, because one day when I woke up, I noticed that the Vive was powered on and it was kind of warm, and it was displaying this great color screen. I guess it kind of crashed sometime in the night and it just stayed on, and I could feel it was pretty warm. So it'd been pretty useful if they just had a quick on and off switch. So these were some of my design quirks about current VR headsets. If you have any, please let me know. So if you guys want to learn more about any of the stuff I talked about in this video, you can check out our website, VR Source, your source for all kinds of reality.